Hello everyone, this is Donnie aka Elevated with Dota Alchemy. Thank you so much for tuning in again today, and today's video is going to be a replay review that was requested on Discord by Beck. We're going to take a look at his Juggernaut game and break it down to look at what he could have done to improve. We're going to go ahead and focus on the laning stage here because I think this is the most important part of this particular game. Playing Juggernaut, you can see he's got some nice denies. His last hits are a little bit low, and that's one thing that I would just suggest is practice last hitting more because you missed a lot of easy CS, and generally speaking, you should really never have more denies than last hits past, maybe like the first couple of creep waves. So work on your last hitting a little bit, and that'll definitely improve a lot of your item timings. Now right here, we see one of the biggest sins as a carry, I would say. He does not re-aggro this range creep, which he could have easily done by attacking one of his own units, and he ends up tanking the range creep, which then ends up making him have a double range creep on his creep wave, which ultimately pushes the lane towards his opponent, who is a offlane silencer who should really get no experience whatsoever. We can see that silencer is level 1 right now, and he should probably remain level 1 instead of getting this big creep wave pushing under his tower. I mean, this game is, I believe it's an Archon level game, so the supports are not necessarily doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is pulling to reset the creep wave equilibrium, continuing to push the waves into the silencer's tower, which allows the silencer to get a ton of extra experience, which he should not be getting. And at this point, it's pretty clear to me that Beck is feeling a little bit flustered by the pressure of having a second hero in lane. Zeus is really annoying to lane against, definitely, because of his lightning bolt spam, but there's a bunch of mistakes that are made in succession here that I think probably shouldn't be made under normal circumstances. So here, he still has 6 tangos. I'd like to see you using tangos instead of the healing ward to heal. The level 1 healing ward is not very efficient. The Tango gives you almost as much HP regen per second and saves you 140 mana, which is very important in this lane because your spin is a very good defensive and offensive tool against the heroes that you're playing against. Also, being that you are closing in on level 6, having a lot of mana is really, really important because having the kill threat of Omni Slash is a big deal. Pretty unacceptable death. You should never be dying to this lane, especially when you have 6 tangos and a wand and healing ward to stay alive. Just getting over aggressive for no reason, really. I think that you should pretty much just be trying to last hit as much as possible, healing up and playing fairly passively, because once you do hit level 6, you can threaten both the Zeus and the Silencer with your Omni Slash and spin combo. Now, as you return to lane, we see Beck coming back with Phase Boost, which he bought in base. I really, really don't like this purchase at all. I think that you should absolutely be buying a Ring of Health from your home shop because clearly you're having sustained issues. In fact, when you come back to lane, you just get lightning bolted a couple more times. You end up having to burn your healing ward again. Again, not using tangos to heal up, which you absolutely should be doing, because otherwise you're just wasting a bunch of your starting gold. And ultimately, it means that you end up having to use spin just to survive, and then healing ward again to survive. So you have very low mana all the time, which makes you have almost no threat towards the heroes in lane. So having a Ring of Health would definitely help you deal with this. You already can threaten them with your abilities and your allied hero in lane, and you simply need more regen because you're being harassed out of lane and can't approach the creep wave because of that. And ultimately, this leads you to have lower farm and a slower timing on your Battle Fury, which is really important. And the Battle Fury timing in this game is actually extremely important because you are facing a Broodmother, and nobody else in your team really has very good wave clear to deal with that. And then here we see you kind of just sitting in the side shop. You've bought a Void Stone again, opting for mana regeneration over HP regeneration, which I don't like facing this lane. You're using your healing ward a lot, so you do need the mana regeneration, but you're also just using your spells at inopportune times when you have tangos, and you could ultimately just be right-clicking people. Here, as you dive the tower, I think this kill is totally not worth it. You're sacrificing last hits. You end up tanking the tower a lot, getting down to about 20% HP, using a bunch more mana, and then using Healing Ward to heal up again, which uses even more mana. So you can see that you basically cannot threaten anybody in lane at this point because you have no spin, you have no Omni Slash. So you have to just kind of wait and get some farm, and again, constantly pushing the wave into the tower for Silencer just gives him a bunch of free farm, completely ruins your efficiency in this lane. And you can see that it's now 10 minutes into the game and you have 52 last hits. Now, if we were to look back, I took a note on this, at 6 minutes into the game, you had 33 last hits. And we're gonna see the effect of you using all of this mana to heal yourself constantly. You use your wand and end up Omni Slashing, which I think is a very optimistic Omni Slash. You probably don't kill either one of them, even if all 3 slashes hit, and you have no follow-up spin because you don't have mana for it. Using your Healing Ward to constantly heal yourself and not having enough mana regeneration means that you don't have the ability to actually threaten heroes in lane, which means that you're stuck farming a small camp while the Silencer and Zeus free farm the lane. I would like to see you pick up a Ring of Aquila as well, simply because you're having to use a lot of mana, and it's just a very, very good efficiency item. Gives you stats and damage to make you more dangerous in lane. And it's funny because I know at this point you're feeling like you're playing really well because you have a lot of kills, you're having a very good game in that sense. However, you still don't have your Battle Fury 15 minutes into this game, despite having a large amount of kills, which means that you're literally just not hitting creeps. And you're also having to spend a lot of gold on regeneration items. So even though you have a large amount of kills, you are not really having the impact that you need to be having in this game. You can see you're taking a fight around this tier 1 tower. Meanwhile, Broodmother is just pushing your tier 3 at 15 minutes into the game. Your tier 3 is literally dead before the 16-minute mark, while you haven't even taken half of the tier 1 tower in your safe lane. This is not a good trade. This is why you need that Battle Fury. This is why you need to be hitting creeps and not trying to fight heroes, because this kind of thing will happen. Like, your team cannot deal with this Broodmother at the moment. It is your job to deal with this Broodmother once you have your Battle Fury and Mantis style. And so that needs to be your priority. Your team has a pretty serious wave pushing problem. Again, Invoker kind of can, Elder Titan kind of can, but really you are most of the wave clear, most of the push on your team. So you need to be focusing on pushing the lanes out. You're down a Rax at 16 minutes into the game, so really you should basically never be in the jungle if you can avoid it, because all of your lanes are going to be pressured at this point, and you need to be the one relieving that pressure. You have a Battle Fury for a reason, and that reason is to clear creeps quickly and push out waves quickly. So use it as such, get out of the jungle. Right here, your entire team shows to kill this Broodmother, so that's a really good kill. And then you make this sort of bizarre decision to go top. And this is something that a lot of players I know kind of struggle with, is just being aware of sort of like the effects of showing on the map. But basically, when 4 of your teammates show on the map, the other team knows that there are 4 heroes there, which means that they know that you're completely alone, which makes you fighting 3 against 1 a pretty bad idea. Even though you're higher level than them, even though you do more damage, you have the ability to heal yourself, simply taking a 3-on-1 fight in any circumstances is just not ideal. Again, a pretty unacceptable death in my opinion, since that was 100% avoidable by just not going there. And at this point, this game is very, very hard because you're underfarmed, you're underleveled, and everybody else on the other team is overfarmed and overleveled. I think that you definitely need a Manta, you definitely need a Battle Fury, and I think after that I probably would like to see a BKB, to be perfectly honest, just because there's so much magic damage coming out from the other side and a lot of silences. So even if you Manta 1 silence, you could get Orchided, and it would really just kind of allow you to fight more than you can. But ultimately, they are just very, very farmed, and you can see that it's very hard for you to go in because there's just so much burst damage from their side. They're killing you from distance. You are a Juggernaut, which you have some gap closing problems without a Blink Dagger. That's another item that you could potentially have gone as a Blink Dagger. This is kind of where I ended up thinking that the replay should have ended. Like, the other team really should not be diving your tier 4s. They shouldn't be losing this game at this point. I would say at pretty much at 28 minutes. Basically, your whole team dies with no buyback. There's no reason for this game really to continue on at this point. So really, my replay review ends here at 28 minutes, despite the game going for like 50, because the game really should have been over. And there's so much to talk about in the early stages of the game that could have definitely affected the outcome of the game at this point and made this game a lot easier for you guys to win. Really, what it comes down to is working on your last hitting to ensure that you have faster item timings, focusing on hitting creeps instead of trying to fight and take weird fights, which will also help your item timings. Recognizing the state of the game, buying the regen items early would have allowed you to farm more and get your items at better timings, which would have led to a much less steamrolly early game for the other team. So basically, that's really all I wanted to cover, is just these few points of thinking about your itemization, thinking about your decision making, and highlighting a few sort of questionable plays and seeing how one bad decision can lead to another bad decision, which can lead to another bad decision, and essentially snowball the game negatively just because of something that might seem fairly inconsequential, like using your healing ward too much and not having enough mana to complete a combo. Thank you so much for submitting this replay, Beck. I hope this replay review was helpful. I hope it helps everybody out there learn to be a little bit more efficient in their carrying in the early stages of the game. And thank you so much for tuning in. Let us know what you would like to see us do next, and we will see you next time.